Howdy, it's Jim Morado, and as that sign says, we are going into Gallipolis, Ohio, and this is July 17th, 2021. I may avoid saying the name of this town too much because my wife says I simply cannot pronounce it, and I don't want to offend anybody, but she tried to coach me through it, and yeah, I've had mixed success, but this is another cute little town along the Ohio River, and I've been through this town a few times. It is sort of the sister city to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and if you're into the Mothman folklore stories very much, if you're much into that, this town has a pretty big claim to that legend also. And the Silver Bridge that collapsed was linking the two cities, and you've just got a lot of interesting history linked to this town, and also to Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I know a lot of people do their kind of ghosty, cryptid pilgrimages, and they go to Point Pleasant. I know I've been to Point Pleasant a number of times, but you kind of have to go here to get everything. Anyway, we drove through here this particular morning. They were having some sort of event downtown, so we couldn't quite drive around the main square the way we've done in the past. But we still got to see a lot of the buildings and stuff. And let me just give you some information straight from Wikipedia on the town. It was charted. It's a chartered village in Ohio, the county seat of Gallia County, and it's about 55 miles southeast of Chillicothe, 44 miles northeast of Charleston, West Virginia. Population as of 2010 was 3,641. And it lost its city status when the population dropped below 5,000 and was classified as a village under state law. So that's interesting. I've stopped at the post office here before. It's got a nice post office. Let's see. And it was first settled by Europeans in 1790. And it was settled by a group of French aristocrats, merchants, and artisans who were fleeing the violence and disruption of the French Revolution. And it goes on a little bit. It is the second city to be founded in the newly organized Northwest Territory of the United States. It is known as the Old French City because of this beginning. This was a time of rampant land speculation in the Northwest Territory, recently opened for settlement after it was organized following the Northwest Indian Wars. The French had worked with the Scotia Company, a purported land development company registered in Paris, 1789, paying its agents for land along the Ohio River. It goes on a little bit. There's some early settlement information. Actually, some interesting stuff. George Washington's involved in some land disputes, and it goes on a little bit. On November 30th, 1893, the state-run asylum for epileptics and epileptic insane opened. Later, it would become the Gallipolis Developmental Center, which is still operational today, serving 52 patients with developmental disabilities in the Appalachian, Ohio region. In June 2019, it was announced that the GSI, the Mental Ward Asylum for the Criminally Insane, would be closed permanently, and those inmates would be moved north to Pomeroy, Ohio, to be placed in private households. The remaining grounds buildings are in talks to become either a branch campus of the Ohio State University or Ohio University. On December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge connecting Gallipolis to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, across the Ohio River, collapsed under the weight of rush hour traffic, resulting in the deaths of 46 people. It had been built in 1928, and analysis showed that the bridge was carrying much heavier loads than it had originally been designed for, and had been poorly maintained. It was replaced by the Silver Memorial Bridge, completed in 1969. We'll drive over that here in just a second. And I wanted to comment real quick as I look on Wikipedia. It lists notable people from the area, and a couple that pop out to me. There's Madeline Dahlgren, a famous author. Skip Batten, musician and former member of the Byrds, new writers of the Purple Sage, and the Flying Burrito Brothers. A couple of those bands are the Byrds and the Flying Burrito Brothers are two of my all-time favorite bands. And I think that's pretty cool. I did not know that he was from this area. I know he also joined Michael Clark's kind of revival of the Byrds in the 90s. I saw that band at the Executive Inn in Owensboro, I want to say 92, 93, something like that. I believe Clark was the only original Byrds member with that band, and he was touring as the Byrds, and he had about 3 or 4 young guys playing with him. And it was a very un-Byrds-like band. I don't think Skip was with that incarnation of the Byrds. But anyway, I just thought that was really fascinating. I did not know that. It also notes that Bob Evans, of Bob Evans Restaurants, bought a small diner in Gallipolis in 1948 and built his business from there. And that's, I think that's pretty darn cool. Several government people that you might expect are from here. Brereton Jones, former Kentucky governor. I did not know that he was from here. So yeah, some interesting names from this area, kind of adding to the just how cool this area is anyway. Kind of cool tractor dealership there we're passing, by the way. I just kind of noticed that and thought I'd film a little bit. And we're about to pass, coming up here in just a second on the right. Well, there's a little strip mall. But speaking of the Silver Bridge collapse, yeah, here we go. Up here on the right, I did some research a while back, and I'm fairly certain this hotel on the right used to have a different name. But John Keel, who wrote the Mothman prophecies, when he would come to the area, I believe this is the hotel he would normally stay at. And that's kind of fascinating. Don't think I'll be staying there for historic reasons or anything, but I think it's just interesting thinking that John Keel was there when he would come into this area. And just because, we were actually heading to Point Pleasant this particular day, and I'd like to explore this town some more. The Ohio River side. I would definitely like to explore this some more. If you know more about it, let me know. If I missed something, if there's something historic, if there's something Civil War related, let me know. I want to check that out. I get the feeling that Gallipolis is... I feel like there's more going on there that we're missing. And, obviously I want to just know a little more about it. But we're about to go over that memorial bridge that was constructed after the bridge fell in 1967. And if you don't know, if you've never been to this area, of course, Point Pleasant has their very, very famous at this point Mothman Festival each year in September. And they have the Mothman Museum, and just about every business in that town has something Mothman related. You can get Mothman coffee, you can get Mothman cookies, you can get a Mothman pizza. I know at the old Harris Steakhouse you could get a Mothman burger. I've had all of those. My favorite's the Mothman cookie that the coffee grinder in town has. They also have a Mothman coffee. The Mothman burger was very good at the old Harris Steakhouse, but sadly when Miss Harris passed away, that business closed. I did have the pleasure of meeting Miss Harris on a few occasions, and she was a very sweet lady. The steakhouse that was in town, it was one of those. It was a diner. It was definitely a diner, and it was very classic. I remember it might have been the last business I ever walked into that still had a smoking or non-smoking section, which was it wasn't really big enough to accommodate non-smokers, but it was definitely a throwback. and it's sad that it's gone now. And here we are going over the bridge, going over into Point Pleasant. Yeah. Obviously, if you're into, aliens and John Keel and that sort of thing, Point Pleasant is just a great place to go. And welcome to West Virginia. Gallipolis is an interesting town, obviously with some stuff going for it.